Hi everybody. Welcome to my channel. Today we have review for the next game. Sit comfortably. Take something to eat or drink. And we starting. The war took everything away from us. The bandits burned our fields, razed our houses, and my Rekimir saw my parents die in this attack. I have nothing, if not a few coins and a hope that responds to the name of Erden, my uncle, that perhaps I will be able to give myself a new hope in this village. And here I find myself collecting sticks and logs for a year. I now have a business empire based on branches and stones. What could have been the epic beginning of an adventure simply ended up in the hands of Ranger Cube, who started from this preamble to create Medieval Dynasty, the simulator of the medieval life of a common citizen. Having abandoned all ambitions of emotions and heartbeat, all that remains is to roll up your sleeves to rebuild a new story from scratch, made up of gathering in the fields, hunting, commercial activities and relations with the citizens who populate the various villages. And collecting sticks, which are never enough. Having put the finishing touches on the fourth building in my little village to be, I realize I need to go out hunting to get more food for the few denizens that dwell within it. It's my job to look after them, after all, and that means building shelter and services, but also going out to hunt some bison or deer for meat. I feel pretty confident as I head out, but end up dying to a boar taking a bite out of my ankle. This moment helped give me the respect I needed for the world of Medieval Dynasty, because while it looks tame and feels like an RPG a lot of the time, it still has the heart of a survival game. This means it's very content to kill you where you stand if you're not paying it proper attention. Progressing means learning to balance the gentler and harsher aspects of the game. Things can get a little odd where the two meet. You gain levels in the different skills simply by using them, in theory encouraging you to go out into the world and try out the skills you want to master. In practice, you end up with a lot of wooden spoons. The game's introductory video presents the player with the story of the protagonist, 18-year-old Rekimir. Long story short, young Rekimir leaves his parents' farm to escape a devastating war, and seeks refuge in a peaceful valley where his uncle, Erden, serves as the king's appointed castellan. The game begins right at this point, with Rekimir's arrival in the valley, where he immediately learns that his uncle has mysteriously died some time ago. The new castellan, however, gives him the right to build his own settlement anywhere in the valley, and that's how it all begins. During the game we can follow a basic main quest by talking to various NPCs/former companions of Erden and doing quests on their behalf, simple fetch or gathering quests, most of them, in order to learn more about his past, his qualities as a human and the circumstances of his death. The last quest of the story, in fact, features multiple options, which of course don't really affect the game beyond the ending cutscene we get and whether 2 to 3 NPCs will still exist in the game world. Obviously though, it becomes clear that the main quest exists purely as a garnish and as an excuse for the player to explore the game world, with the main course being none other than the building and management aspects. The construction aspect of Medieval Dynasty is different from that found in most other survival games. Unlike the familiar component-based logic of constructing each building freely until it takes the shape the player desires, the buildings here are strictly predefined and grouped into specific templates, as if we were constructing a base in a real-time strategy game. So if we choose to build, say, a hunting lodge from the corresponding menu, its wooden frame will always have the same predefined shape, and, once construction is complete, the same predefined furniture and workbenches inside. Even so, however, despite their predetermined nature, buildings must be constructed by hand, piece by piece, using the appropriate tool and spending the necessary resources from Rekimir's inventory. The available buildings are also grouped into 4 technology categories, in which the player can earn XP through specific actions. For instance, in the production category, XP is earned through the creation of items and buildings such as kitchens and workshops. Raising the level of each category unlocks the construction of extra buildings and products that can be created in them. I don't think that the main story is overly important. Having mostly been at it over the last year of development, the story is reasonably fleshed out. But nothing special by modern RPG standards. There is also very little voice acting, which can make it harder to care about individual characters. On both regular and higher difficulties, farming reputation and technology can take a while. However, you don't have to tackle this grind if you prefer a faster and easier playthrough. Medieval Dynasty has some of the most flexible and well-implemented difficulty settings I've seen. There are sliders for HP, damage, taxes, resource limits, and so much more. This adjustability is incredible for both player choice and accessibility. Those who seek a serious challenge can take on the hardest of sliders, while those looking to relax are free to do so. If the industry needs a case study to base future difficulty design on, Medieval Dynasty might just be it. The other, and perhaps main flaw, is that the game's world is pretty generic and empty, and this hits particularly hard in a purely single-player title that doesn't offer the team activities that one might engage in when playing a multiplayer game. We have villages with NPCs, different flora and fauna in the various environments on the map, and occasionally a bandit camp may spawn which we can clear and loot. Other than that, and leaving aside the resource grinding and village development, there aren't many other activities the player can engage in. 99% of the quests that can be offered by the NPCs in the world are typical and constantly repeated Bethesda-like fetch quests: fetch me a wooden bucket, fetch me 3 logs, kill 4 wolves. And ultimately, this is a game that wants to stand out from the rest of the survival titles currently available. And that pursuit is largely successful. Indeed, the enjoyment one derives from Medieval Dynasty ends up being more akin to the equivalent satisfaction of building a beautiful and symmetrical city and cities skylines than it is to clearing a dungeon with your friends in Conan Exiles or taking down the third boss in Valheim. But this feeling remains that there's just something missing from its world. Hopefully with the support of the developers it will be further developed to fully realize its potential. Thanks for watching guys, subscribe to my channel, bye everyone and see you soon.